All right, and we are live, and this is Les Durant, and we are in Mineral Bluff, Georgia, and we are interviewing Rich Thomas, and I got a great friend, Vic, who just moved in, and thanks for joining us, Vic. I really appreciate that. And then we got Rich Thomas up in Canada, Manitoba, Canada. He is an abductee, and we've already got a viewer, and thank you so much. And Rich, I'm going to have you tell your story, brother, and tell us why you got those glasses on, man.
Okay, well, first, Les, thanks for having me on,
Yes.
and doing this. And I've been looking forward to this chat with you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Uh,
Yeah.
I apologize for the sunglasses. It's not out of hiding who I am or out of that I'm a superstar or something. It's just I've been dealing with a hemorrhage in my right
Oh,
eye,
wow. Wow.
and I've been seeing an eye specialist. And in the last couple of weeks, it's gone way worse. The pain and pressure behind the eye is just getting immense. And I found out earlier today that wearing the sunglasses, even indoors in my own condo,
Right.
makes a huge difference in
Yeah.
the pain that I experience.
Well, that's
So,
good. Yeah, and I've got Sjogren's syndrome that dries out my eyes and mouth and everything, and so I've had those times too where I wish I had my glasses, my sunglasses on, and I know kind of how tough it can be. So I'm with you, brother. So how did you kind of get? How did all this started happening for you? When did all this start happening?
it started happening really about 7 years old, and my mother's side of the family owned a lot of farmland, which my parents actually erected an actual cabin that first started as a via rail train caboose, and then they added an addition to it. So it was a weird country home cottage slash thing of a train caboose attached to a modern structure on land where my uncle, all the land surrounding, he farmed.
Right. That's pretty
And
cool. That's pretty cool.
um, at the time, we didn't have indoor plumbing or water,
Hmm.
so we had to use an outhouse.
Right.
And at night, of course, you have to go by flashlight because it's further away from the
Hmm.
farmhouse.
Yeah.
And I went out at night to use, the outhouse, and walking back to the farmhouse, and I was just about there. Uh, I saw this thing, and at 7 years old, I didn't know anything about aliens or what I call them entities,
Hmm.
let alone small grays and different species of them.
Right.
But about 3 to 5 feet away from me was a small gray.
And we were talking earlier that a lot of people think that gray, the typical gray is people think the typical gray is tall, but a lot of people don't know that a lot of those grays are little and they're
Well,
like
I've
three
had
feet, right?
experiences with both sizes, which I
Okay.
refer to, and a lot of people refer to as small grays and the
Right.
tall grays.
And
But
Vic, if you have a question too, all right.
this was definitely a small gray.
Okay.
And I dropped my flashlight because this was just my mind, I think, didn't understand what I was seeing. This was something that I
Right.
was seeing on National Geographic or not normal,
Hmm.
you know, per se. And by the time I picked up the flashlight, it was gone. And I ran into the farmhouse, and I told my father, and he said, well, it's a raccoon. Well, number
Okay.
one, a raccoon, even on its hind legs, couldn't be like that. And it was the eyes. It was the oval eyes that really got to me.
Hmm.
And it was just recently, about 6 months ago, that I spoke to my mother, who was also there, about what I think is the first experience. And, she said,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't a raccoon, and it wasn't bear country either. The biggest animals that we'd see were maybe deer or, possums, and I just knew. And it brought me to where I am now, because I find, as I speak openly about my experiences, the more my memories start coming back.
Yes. Right.
And as a child, I remember at the farmhouse seeing an entity looking through windows,
Mm-hmm.
at me in my bedroom or just in general. And I remember visiting the farmhouse even as an adult, before my parents sold the land, that
Yeah.
I would have issues with at night, having the blinds had to be closed,
Mm-hmm.
because I was scared if they were not.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm not scared of the dark. And we were maybe 5 miles away from the nearest farmhouse. So it wasn't a matter of being private. We could walk around our land, because it was in a treed in area, like completely naked or
Yeah.
whatever, without, seeing a soul. So, that just, more emphasizes these memories coming back to me, that
Sure.
this was something that really set off, experiences that I've been going through.
Right. And right now, I want to thank that we got 4 viewers on. So thanks for joining us. And if you would like to comment, you can comment on YouTube. Thanks for joining. And also check out the group, Objects and Orbs. And thanks for joining the group too. And want to thank you for that. And so, Rich, as you started to get older, did it seem to get, I'm going to say, easier? Does that make sense? Easier?
A long time.
Not for a while.
The
Okay.
things that I started to experience as I aged 9, 10 years old were things of, I don't fully understand, but I call them some sort of ESP, where
Right.
I don't
Telepathic.
dream the I don't dream these things. Things just pop in my head when I'm fully awake. And
Yes.
and they're things that I wouldn't think of. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
let me give you one example. When I was in grade 10, one day I had this thought in my head that there's going to be an assembly in the school gym, and this woman is going to come on stage in a long red dress.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, the very next day, it happened.
Yeah.
I almost
Yeah.
freaked out. And then it started to become, without looking at the TV guide or something, I could think just randomly of a movie or something. And the next day, it'd be on. Or now, especially more so, it's about music,
Really?
radio, and I don't listen to radio much.
Mhm.
I'm kind of old school. I've got a record player, and
Yeah.
uh, but sometimes in the car, I will just scan the radio stations, and I've been in stores, and this song will pop in my head. Like the last time
Mm-hmm.
was a Fleetwood Mac song, and I'm not
Yeah.
really familiar with Fleetwood Mac, and I didn't know this song whatsoever. I get back into my car and I turn on the radio, and
Fleetwood Mac's on.
and that exact same song
Right.
is on, you know.
Yeah. I've had
So
that happen to me, actually. I was at a store. I was at a few different stores. I was at a big hardware store and heard a song, and then it took me for a while to find that song. And then I heard it again at another little department store, and I'd never heard that song, only to find out that it was one of my favorite artists that had released a new song that had vocals in it. Yeah, so
okay.
right, right. So that seems like that's one of those times. Now, have you ever had any times where they've given you an idea for a song?
I will tell you, after an abduction,
Mm-hmm.
within a day or two,
Right.
after I've rested, because it takes a lot out of me,
Mm-hmm.
physically and emotionally, and it drains me. And we could talk further about the physical symptoms I get. But I will get really creative. I play, piano or
Mm-hmm.
keyboards, guitar, and other instruments, and sing, and I write my own songs. Um, but I will be able to, a day or two afterwards, sit down at my piano, and all of a sudden, within like 2 hours, I'll write like three songs,
Yeah.
with the music and the lyrics, and have it figured out. And
Mm-hmm.
with writing music, I've never been able to uh, push writing. Let's say, like, sit down, say, I'm going to write a song today. I can't do
Yeah.
it. It's whether it really comes out naturally to me or not. I don't push it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wait till the time's right. And it's, after an abduction, I just seem to get way more creative for some time.
Yeah, and I've noticed that I'm actually getting to be a little bit more creative, or back to my creative self again. So once you are on the craft, um, explain to some of the things that they've done, that you're able to at least. I know that there's some things that are scary, and I don't want you to have to get emotional on those unless you want to talk about them. But what are some of the things that have happened, and also what are some of the common things that have happened on the other abductions that have happened to you that happened before?
Um,
Is there a
well,
commonality
first
to
of
that?
all, I'm just going to mention, I assume I'm on a craft.
Okay.
I assume, because I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because my memories are of um, what seem to be rooms
Mm-hmm.
that are pretty big, but the walls, like, say, the wall behind me, um, are so light and bright, like so white, a white color that I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're bright, and they're the only way I can move usually is by moving my eyes or my head a bit to the left and right. And after a couple abductions, I started trying to look around. And the thing I noticed with the walls was I couldn't see any kind of light source. And it made me start to think that, these walls seem like they're almost alive themselves.
Mm.
Um,
Okay. Right.
Very, very bright. And the abduction memories that I have, which there's always, well, at least two or three times, there's a tall gray over top of me, like, not a, but leaning down, looking at me over top of me.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly gray. I think the way Hollywood or major mainstream depicts grays, whether, the short or tall ones, might be a bit different from at
Yeah.
least the entities or species I've encountered, but they're a little bit more dark greenish, kind of blackish, dark gray. It's very difficult to actually describe the color and the what I first thought when I started drawing and showing other members, of the UAP community that I trust to talk to, like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give a shout out to Nigel in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and to Annabelle, who I believe is in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And the drawings that they're on, I thought they were like wrinkles or scars on their face, but it just seemed to be the way their skin was. The eyes were
Yeah.
very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've had multiple times where a machine will come, a rectangular looking metal machine will come across my lower portion. And the next thing I know, because I can't see down, is, and I relate this to, COVID swabbing,
Okay. Right.
swabbing for
Mm-hmm.
COVID and the long swabs they put in. But these were ridiculous, like
Mm-hmm.
how far it seemed they would go in, and the pain,
Yeah.
where I'd be yelling and screaming, please stop, this hurts so much. And I've had that done numerous times, and I've had, after I've been returned, and I don't get bleeding noses, the next day I'll
Mm-hmm.
wake up and my pillow has blood on it.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, um,
Wow.
and I have communicated with them, by the way I meditate, and try to communicate when I talk to them through my head, through thoughts. I'm okay with you taking me as long as, number one, you bring me back home.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
then
Right.
after a few times of this, can you please stop hurting me?
Mm-hmm.
But then it took on another route where there's been semen extraction done
Wow.
a few times, where I can't see my lower body, but I knew something was, put around my
Yeah.
genitals, and,
Yeah.
I could feel it,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
obviously. And that, intrusive, yes, and bothersome, yes. Did it hurt? No. Was it enjoyable? No.
Of course not.
Even physically, either, because I
Right.
think it's just, um, it's taking something without asking,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think if they were to ask, I'd say yes. I'd say, okay.
Right. And then we talked about that. And, it seems like you're getting to that point, which is good. I was going to say, I'm uh, very proud of you and the amount of time that you've taken to kind of work on it before. I know that even before that there were some challenges that were going on that um but I'm so glad that you're happy now about it, and it seems like you're blossoming more, which is good. I'm glad about that, and you're able to get your story out, and even Haley too. And this thing has become such a stigmatism for people, and a lot of people ask me too why I want to go, and it's just a matter of I want to go so I can experience what you've experienced and what other people have experienced, whether it be good or bad. I still want to experience it, and that's one of those things that it's I have to go out to battle, and I haven't been to battle yet, but I want to go. But I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to do what what they need and try to just get, if that makes sense. I don't, because I think I kind of know you're like, no way, don't go, but at least that's my thought. What do you think?
Well, like to get back at your first point, I think when you and I first started communicating, I was
Hmm.
having a lot of trouble um, dealing with, and I'm a very logically sound person,
Hmm.
that these things are actually happening. And it was
Right.
something that
Right.
definitely every day I was questioning
Hmm.
myself and self doubt. Um, and it was people like, once again, like you and Annabelle and Nigel that really,
Hmm.
were there for me to,
Right.
to help guide me that, it's okay. And, and so forth. And so I think I've grown to accept to a degree and
Yeah.
not be
Well, that's
so
good.
afraid. But
That's
on the other hand, the thing that I deal with on a daily basis is still, I don't know when the next time's going to be.
right.
It's up to them. And yes, I've spoken to privately and I've said, or, on another podcast on the
Hmm.
road beyond where you've mentioned I want to be abducted. And I've said, no, you don't. And the reason why I've said, and I've said to other people, no, you don't, is because the first few times when it happens, and you come to whether you're on a craft or whatever the rooms or whatever, and you see them up close and say if they do experimentations that are intrusive and hurt, and you
Right.
see the reality with your own eyes and your
Hmm.
own mind, not on TV, not on the movies, not on
Right.
pictures, and especially these days on social media and
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Um, it's a different story.
Sure.
It's a different story. And it took me quite a few times to not be, basically, and part of me, I don't think there's censorship on YouTube, but it scared me shitless.
Yeah.
Really
Right.
did.
Oh yeah,
And
no, I remember there's times where I talked to you. You've been in tears, and and when you had told me about seeing these pods with either bodies in them or souls in them, and it's just the heck like Travis Walton, and I'm dropping the name, but yes, because he had seen it and somebody else had seen it as well. So when you said that, that's when my light went on. It's like, oh, and then it seems like that they wanted you to see that for a reason, but it's also it seems like that maybe there. I mean, there was a reason for that, but I wonder if they would use those for any type of regeneration or something. It just seems like that there's more to it than we're looking into. Does that make sense?
well, yeah, no, and when you spoke, the name Travis Walton, right, which most people should know of with his
Mhm.
book and the movie Fire in the Sky.
We watched that last
Um,
night.
there is a part where Travis, realizes that these smooth, almond shaped grays could be actually in a suit or a space
Right.
suit. And this
Right.
is something that recently I've been pondering quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
is because, for many years now, um, and long before Travis Walton's experience, the the image or the drawings of grays and, looking more peaceful and and
Airtime
not
friendly.
scary, frightening at first. I sometimes
Mm-hmm.
wonder, are those true or is there something underneath? And like I've said with most of my abductions, um, besides the tall gray who seems to be the doctor or the scientist
Right.
looking quite different, there has been 3, 4, up to 5 small grays behind that I've
Right.
noticed. And then you were speaking about the pods, and the pods came the last time I remember an abduction, which was Christmas Eve last year.
Right.
And these entities, and well, this room, first of all, I wasn't, on a metal slab this time. I was actually standing and I assume walking. That there were 3 very tall, 10, 12 feet tall, very dark, almost shadowy entities
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't really make out great definition of.
Yeah.
And we were in this vast white room once again, the brightening white. And as far as I could see down this room, there were pods of hundreds, if not thousands,
Mm-hmm. Do you have
of
any idea what those could have been?
these pods. And from what the distance my eyes could see of these pods, because they seem to be, uh, glass topped or see-through tops,
Mm-hmm.
there were men, women, children, fully clothed,
Right.
but of course, don't know whether they were in a hibernation state, whether they were alive,
Did their
whether
body? Did their bodies? Did their bodies look like that? Look like they were hydrated and everything? That they just didn't have? That they were just not alive?
well, like I said, they were fully clothed. Their faces looked like, not like, going blue or gray, that they were
Right.
dead. Um, but this one
Do
did
you think that
make
they seem to
me.
be changing out at
I'm
all?
sorry.
Okay. Oh, I'm
Sorry, I
sorry.
didn't.
No, you're fine. So did they look like that they were changing in any way, or um, do you think that they were maybe in suspended animation? Did they look like that they had a smile on their face, or did they all look sullen, or
No,
did they
no,
have?
no smile, just plain like they were maybe
Right.
asleep, I guess.
Okay. All right.
The thing that really worried me or bothered me was these were different entities than I've remembered
Mm-hmm.
so far. And then it was just being shown all these pods without explanation, at least so far.
Right.
And it made me, of course, think, what for? What's the reasoning behind this? Why so many? And, and the thing that frightened me was the thought that I had um, when Haley got me to come to. Or are you just collectors or
Mm.
what? And, and I'll tell you, when Haley, you know, after an abduction, whether she finds me outside or on the couch or sitting at the edge of our bed and my clothes are either backwards or inside out or backwards and inside out, and
Right.
I'm kind of in this like hypnotic state. This time when she when she got me to come through, I was shaking and crying, and I was even scared to go outside
Yeah.
for a couple of days.
Right. Right.
Um, and I think it's, well, because it was a new encounter, and just that question of, are you collectors? Is this just,
Yeah. So
like, say somebody on safari?
right, right. And so, has there ever been a time where she's actually seen you being abducted?
I don't
That,
like to speak for her.
okay, that's
But there has been one time where she has a recollection,
mm-hmm.
whether by dream or whatsoever, of me hovering above the bed
Yeah.
and being taken through the bedroom wall to outside, somehow
Right.
being
Wow. And see, that's
taken through a wall and
did you ever
window.
seem like you were going through a tunnel in any way?
I have once, yes.
Okay. All right. Because I've heard
I
that.
have once, and I believe one time, I think with the Greys, that I was moved from, I can only imagine, a smaller craft to a bigger one.
Right.
And I remember moving, or, being moved
Mm-hmm.
by energy, I assume, not
Right.
not by beings themselves.
Oh, right. By something was kind of carrying you, right?
Yeah, carried me from one to another.
Okay. All right. And did you ever did you ever think that you did leave the earth?
Yes,
Okay. So, did that happen that often, or did it just happen occasionally, or when?
I think all the time it does,
Right.
or at
Okay.
least into the higher atmosphere, inner space or
Yes.
outer space. I'm not sure. There's been some, uh, some tests run on me of, say, the radiation level
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
have after an abduction goes very high, sometimes even as high as an astronaut that
Wow.
spends the equivalent of a year on the International Space Station.
Right.
I'll
And
show
that's
readings of that.
let's see. Somebody, Haley. I'm sorry. I don't mean somebody, but Haley Bissett has. I do not have any memory of having seen him being abducted, but oh, that's of course that's Haley. Duh. Okay. But did have that dream or vision. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
that's
and,
Haley.
and that's what I was trying to get across, not
Okay.
talking for her and saying
Right.
it's it was something she, dreamed or
Mhm.
visioned.
Right.
Not saying she directly saw
Well,
me getting.
I've had other people. I've talked to other abductees that have said that they've gone through tunnels or they've seen tunnels. I've had some that said that they've looked through the tunnels and seen other worlds that were just very beautiful and just very, very awesome. And so, has there been any times that haven't been that bad?
It's a catch 22, I
Okay.
think,
Okay.
and it's how you deal with it and perceive it later. I don't
Yes.
really, even though I've been physically hurt, and there are still physical things that I'm seeing specialists for that
Yeah.
I think are directly related to being abducted.
Right. Right.
Um,
Now, speaking of that, let's.
but
Is Haley there? Oh, I'm sorry.
but we've got to understand, I think, that, and this was the point I wanted to make tonight with you, is that supposedly, I've heard or read or whatever, there's at least 28 to 56 different species of entities that
Right.
constantly visit our planet and visit us. And and I've got to believe that some are here to help,
Yes.
but just as with humans,
That's right.
and like in general, there's the good and the bad.
Right. Correct. Right. Correct.
And with that, that's where I'm saying, although I've been, physically hurt, so far, I don't think their intentions are really bad. And I say number one, why? Because they keep returning me back home.
Yes.
I'm
That
not
we talked
dead.
about that.
I've got
Mm-hmm.
major, I've had in the last 5 years, major physical issues from heart issues, gastrointestinal issues, possibly eye issues, pulmonary, like lung issues.
Yeah, because
And,
of
but
radiation.
the very strange thing is, like I was mentioning earlier, I spoke to my mom and showed her some pictures and videos and
Mm-hmm.
started to talk to her about these experiences. And we were having lunch one day, maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago. And she said to me, I don't know if she started watching things on Netflix or what. She said, well, Rich, why don't you ask them to help you with your physical problems?
Hmm. Okay. All right. All
Well,
right.
lo and behold, I did. I meditated. I communicated the way that I do. And that was something that I asked. Besides, can you bring, just make sure to bring me home. Please don't hurt me that bad. And I asked, can you
Wow.
please help me? And starting, besides this eye hemorrhage, and I just saw my cardiologist,
Mm.
and I'm seeing my gastroenterologist on Friday.
Yeah.
Um, and the pulmonary specialist is completely under control. A lot of my symptoms that
Mm-hmm.
have put a pause in my life physically
Yeah.
are
Wow.
gone,
Wow. Okay.
are
All
gone.
right.
And I am probably the healthiest I've been in
Well,
quite a number of years.
yeah, that's great. So is
And I don't,
Haley?
I don't think that's just coincidence.
No, it's not. There's no such thing as coincidence or luck. Is Haley there with you right now?
No, no, she's not.
She's not. Okay. All right, because we were going to do that magnetic thing, and unless you wanted to try it, but if not, we could do that another time. But you were talking about being implanted, and and we got out I got my tri-field meter out, and I was just showing Vic about it, and that even the magnetometer that we were looking at the other night as well, that anybody's got one, you can get them, I'm sure, on the App Store or the Play Store, and just look it up, magnetometer, and just kind of go around and start doing some stuff. But yeah, to me it sounds like that you are chosen for a reason, and I'm glad you've kind of embraced that a little bit. And you know, it
I just, speaking about the magnetometer and whatever, and you can
uh-huh,
actually probably find them at any, big box
yeah,
hardware store as
uh-huh,
well, instead of
right,
ordering from Amazon or whatsoever. I've seen them
yeah,
there too. But like, say where I've been tagged, I've got uh, three dots in a pyramid form, and in a triangular form on my left ankle
wow,
that have been there for quite some time, and they don't disappear. They never were red or hurt. they're almost like a dot of like a henna tattoo, but it doesn't go away. And then I got a circle just last week that looked
How big is
um, about this big, about the
Oh, okay.
size of an almond almost.
Okay. All
And
right.
it didn't hurt. And I thought, was this possibly a blister?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it wasn't red like a blister. And blisters, I would notice, like it didn't bubble out like a blister. It didn't, you know, and if it bubbled out, I would have popped it, and whatever water or white substance comes out, and then you peel off the skin and let it dry out and heal. This
Mm-hmm.
thing was already healed, and
Yeah.
it's just
I
this
was.
almond shaped.
I'm going to show you something here that happened to Claudette, and we don't know if. See, I'm going to tell a story on this, but so the other night, I think that this happened before we went to Walmart. I think that happened before we went to Walmart. She had gotten this quick little sting in her foot, and we're like, all right, and it was something like not like she stepped on something, but like she got stung by something.
Mhm.
And then after that, that's when we had the craft follow us to Walmart, blink at us at Walmart, and then follow us back when we got home. So we're thinking could have got tagged. So what I want to do is I want to pull this up to see if it looks like something that might have been, I don't know, could have been a tag, possibly. I don't know. And so let me see if I can find this here. Be just a sec. Let's see. Oh, is it there? Okay. Let me send it over here. I apologize. I thought I had it where I needed it. No. Okay.
No, that's okay. Like what you're looking at, if I may say,
Oh.
doing EMF readings
Mm-hmm.
of my body or around our
Found it.
condo, the EMF reading around the triangular dots and this
Yeah.
circle I have on the left-hand side and my right arm, where you can feel just below the skin, is what I call an upside down Hershey's kiss, which I'm
Oh.
getting
Oh.
I'm getting X-rayed
Yeah.
privately. I'm going to pay for it because I don't want actually the medical system putting this down on record. The
Right.
EMF reading jumps, the scale jumps completely
Mm-hmm.
just in those
Wow.
areas.
All right. So here is what happened. Here's where it stung her right here. Can you see that?
Yeah, no, I can see. I'm not, I wouldn't know, but did it go red? Did it get inflamed?
Well, it bled for a little bit and then it stopped.
Okay. Did it stop very quickly? Like, I
Yes.
mean, like I
Yes.
said, I'm not an expert.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Um,
I mean, I know you're not a doctor or not like that, but yeah.
but
So let me stop this.
I've heard or read, and from my experiences, like say the what I will bet $1 million is an implant on my right arm, and I know somebody else who
Mm-hmm.
has the exact same thing, the exact same shape, in the exact same spot in the
Wow.
arm, just below the flesh, but not in the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
That I found out about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, just off the cuff, when I said to this person that's going to remain, nameless.
Right.
For one of the first times, I've said to somebody, I've got this, feel it.
Mm.
And he was like, no shit.
Right.
And
Right.
he came from kind of a similar background of being, exposed as a child, or, or living in a country setting
Yeah.
and having some, and I'm not going to talk about them, but some experiences,
Right. Sure.
as a child,
Yeah.
and is at a way different age than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about coincidence. What is the chance
Yes. Exactly.
of having the exact same thing in the exact same place and having a very
Right.
similar childhood background
Yeah. Right.
where this
Exactly.
all started?
Yeah, and I think that that's very common. And a lot of people I've talked to that I've even asked them, and they said that that there's generational experiences, and I think even generational abductions, and it's going to get to a point where people will be able to talk to their relatives more and say, hey, did this happen to you? And how they come back and be like, well, let me tell you about an experience that happened,
Yeah.
and that's really it. So Rich, what do you think, what would you want everyone to know? What would be the big thing that you want people to know or to talk about?
Well, I think the most important thing that we do, and hopefully, watching your U.S. Senate committee hearings,
Hmm. Right.
and the impact that that those have made on the general public,
Yeah.
um, is to let's get it out in the open.
Right.
Let's
Get
not be
it out there.
afraid of being labeled insane.
Yeah.
Let's start talking about it to each other. Let's look for fellow people that you can relate to and talk to them, because it's a learning experience, not just going through abductions, but to find people you can trust,
Yes.
to speak openly about, like I've said, with you, Annabelle, and Nigel, in the
Hmm.
last, few months, almost a year, I have learned so much from you guys, but also from me talking has made uh, made me more accepting. And I think part of the thing is acceptance opens the door to truth.
Wow. Okay. Right. Right. Right.
And I've always been, since a child, very open minded. I'm very good at spatial relations. And I've always gazed up at the stars since a child. I've always been in wonder, but I never until about 5, 6 years ago was really into entities, or what people would call, aliens.
Right. Right.
You
So
know,
yeah, no. So I've got a question. I'm gonna see if Vic will come on here. Vic, you want to scoot up here real quick? All right, come on up, just scoot up. And so let me see. I'll scoot over here. This will be a little bit easier. All right. Thank you, Vic. And I'm really thankful that you're here too. So Vic, we went from UFOs that I do UFOs to meeting an abductee literally, and we also watched the Above Majestic, and I've been kind of showing him some stuff. And Vic, you went from, I think, probably a believer, right? Or
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I wouldn't say I didn't know.
okay, just he's
I
kind of like just didn't know, right?
just
Okay.
I have no idea.
So, what did you think when we started talking about them, and then actually we called them and they came?
Pretty amazing.
Okay, all right.
Pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you interested,
Yeah,
like what's going on out there.
right, right. And then it's pretty exciting, ain't it though?
Very exciting.
Yeah,
Les keeps me busy.
yeah, right. Yeah, and I'm
It
I'm
keeps
really
me informed. It keeps me up to date.
Yeah.
and it's very interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's a cool thing to both say, well, see, like we talked to Dave. Dave's called them and they come, and now Vic's come, and yeah, it's great to be able to
It's
get the
nice to hear Richard's story. I
yes,
can tell you
definitely.
that, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And we like talking to you. And the thing that I like is that the people that we talk to, especially on my channel, have all the or a lot of the same things in common. And I'm very happy that you're able to get your story out and tell everybody. I don't know if you're ready for people to contact you, but tell everybody what some of the things you have coming up are, if you want to talk about it.
Well, if some people want to follow my page, my Facebook page, or friend request me, or with that, maybe I might ask you a few questions before I actually let you into my Facebook page, because 90% is actually my life, which is very I like to make fun of a lot of things, including
Yeah.
myself.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you are very creative. You're I think you're as creative as I would be at your age. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
One thing, and if you don't mind me less or whatever,
Yeah.
I've got a pretty big podcast coming up on Wednesday,
Sure do. Go ahead and promote it.
out of Pennsylvania, and it's going to be through all major social media, and I believe iHeartRadio and other radio stations. And they're expecting somewhere around 920,000
Yeah.
viewers / listeners on this one. And there's going to be some more things that I'll talk about for the first time on that one.
Good. Okay.
So if they, join your objects and orbs,
That would be great.
you
Yeah.
know, that's another way
Yeah.
to keep in the loop. And I think it's a very good Facebook site for fellow experiencers or
Hmm.
abductees, or just even people in general who are curious. I find a
Yeah.
lot of
Like
Facebook
Vic.
groups.
Yeah. Like Vic. Yeah.
I find a lot of Facebook groups with hundreds of thousands
Hmm.
of of members. It gets flooded with misinformation. It
Right.
gets flooded with trolls. It
Yep.
gets flooded with AI pictures, or you can definitely tell those pictures are manipulated.
Yep.
And people, I'm sorry, but they talk shit, but they've got nothing to show for it.
Right. And that's
Whereas a
mhm.
group like Objects and Orbs, your group, is it's a safe place to be.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's what I want. That's what I want.
And that's why I belong to yours, because I really, in fact, only belong to, I think, about 2 or 3 right now.
Wow. Well,
And
thank you.
that's it.
That means a lot to me. That's the original thing about Objects and Orbs, is that we are seekers of the truth, and I don't promote any kind of conspiracy theory, none of that stuff. We just throw this stuff out there like it is, and then try to give the best quality version that we can of it, and back up everything that we talk about. And I want to thank you for just who you are and getting your word out, and just your friendship. And thank you so much. And I want to thank Nigel too, and just all the good people that we have. And it's a great thing, especially Haley as well. And we've got amazing mates, and which is great. Claudette's working her butt off tonight, or else she would have been on. And but she'll be on the next one, guarantee you. So that's
Good.
kind of a good thing. Well, Rich, it's been good talking to you, brother. And I'm gonna
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship and your love and support.
yeah.
And you and Claudette mean a lot to me.
All right.
And now we got Vic coming into the picture.
Thank you for
Yeah.
the story. I
So
really
Yeah.
maybe some things on the way to North Carolina casinos will start happening to him too.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. We got to get more of this out to my friends in North Carolina. They're coming along. I'm not getting as many laughing emojis, so that's good. But we know how to take care of those. I'm not a big deal. It's not a big problem.
Yeah, I know they slide off my back nowadays.
Yes, they do. I like it. I like those because they're the ones who are probably jealous, or they just they're just not as informed. So I always like to give them a little extra boost. All right, well, hey, I'm gonna let you go, sir, and
Okay.
congratulations to you on
You have a
your
wonderful evening. Thanks for having me again.
All right, good deal. We'll all
All right.
talk to you later. Thank you so much. I'm gonna
Take
end
care.
the stream. All right, bye.
Take care.
Yes.